Hi, I'm Angie Pontani, the burlesque superstar who has spent the last 20 years shimmying and shaking around the globe. I've performed in showrooms, ballrooms, small rooms, and big rooms, every room except a mushroom. Along the way, I've met some amazing people, and I'd like to introduce them to you. Together, we will pull back the curtain to reveal what really happens behind the glitter, feathers, and tassels. So join me for the bump and grind. Burlesque is a full-time gig for not too many. It's an all-in hustle where those who do it full-time have mostly been doing it for a long time. But its allure attracts many who want to get on and stay on those big, fabulous stages. So the question is, how does one fast-track a career? What does it take to get to the top and stay there? Today's guest is the perfect person to chat with about this. Australia's own Zelia Rose burst onto the burlesque scene and within a few years shimmied straight to the top. She was rated the #1 worldwide figure in burlesque in the 21st Century 2018 poll. She was crowned Miss Burlesque Australia and crowned Best Debut at the Burlesque Hall of Fame. She's a staple with Dita Von Teese's touring show. So how does a self-proclaimed shy kid with a background in dance stick a toe in burlesque and a few short years later find herself to be into some of the biggest and best shows in the world? Let's find out on today's episode of The Bump and Grind with Zelia Rose. Zelia, welcome to The Bump and Grind. Thank you so much for coming on today.
Thank you. This is incredibly exciting.
I am very, very, very excited to have you because I think your story is really unique and interesting, especially in the time of the evolution of burlesque that we're in right now. So I'm very excited to chat with you. So I was trying to think of when we first met, and I knew that I had heard of you because we have a mutual friend in common, Russell Beatty, and he was telling me, "Oh my God, you've got to see Zelia. She's amazing. You know, you're gonna love
amazing.
her. Yeah, she's amazing. You're gonna
That's
love her."
pretty
good. Sound just like him. And
it's
then,
incredible.
Not long after that, you had gotten the offer to tour with Dita, and then I can't remember if it was your manager or Russell, but I know you were trying to get your papers really quickly, and they were like, "Will you write a letter?" And of course I did, and I'm so excited that all worked out. So amazing. But before we go too deep there, how did you find your way to burlesque? Or how did burlesque find its way to you?
Exactly. It was a bit of both, actually. Well, I didn't plan on doing it. You know, I came across it by chance, and I worked with this burlesque house woman who had a school, and she taught beginners and all these different had all these hens nights going on. I was a dancer at the time, and, you know, was auditioning for shows and all that sort of jazz that, you know, you do when you're out and trying to find your way in the world. And I met with her, and then she kind of introduced me to the whole world. Like she had an eccentric kind of costume collection. She made her own costumes. You know, she was super, super vintage and old school. And that was her style. And she did a lot of 20s and 30s and that kind of stuff. And she was creating a show called History of Burlesque and had asked me to do Josephine Baker.
Wow. And this was in Melbourne, right?
Yeah, this is in Melbourne. Yeah. And I knew nothing about burlesque at this point, but for me, I had always been interested in, you know, vintage, always interested in costume design, fashion, and all that stuff, and feminism, and, you know, just kind of liberation and, you know, using your body in different ways. And so, yeah, when she introduced me to Josephine Baker, I feel like that was kind of it. You know, as cliched as it is, it was this, like, that was the moment when I was like, this is really great for me because this really marries up all of the things I love. And I made an act around her, and then that was kind of the tipping point for me. And the Josephine Baker act that I made back then, which was probably 7 years ago, has evolved and changed now. So it's really, really different. But yeah, and then I kind of started teaching hens nights and that sort of thing, and getting my head around the teas. And as a dancer, I'd come in and I was just like, let's do this choreography, like 1, 2, 3, you know, like, yeah. I didn't have any idea how to really teach burlesque and what it actually meant. So I really had to find the teas and find the elements in it that like get to the heart of what it was, rather than it just being choreography, you know.
And when you discovered Josephine and created your number and started teaching these hen nights, did you start to research the history of burlesque or just learn it like through the people around you that were performing in the scene at that time?
Well, yes and no. I mean, she was quite like selective. She only had a couple of artists in her books. She was kind of like a very like protective person. So she didn't really, I wasn't really exposed to the other people in the industry until later on when I actually went on my own and did my own thing. But she kind of had her own view of what burlesque was. You know, it was slow. It was about the tease. It was about vintage glamour. And for me, like I would dance a lot, and I would, you know, that was my thing. And she ended up saying to me, "Oh, you dance around too much. You should dance less." And I never really took it on board. And I'm glad that I did it, because my style is very influenced by what I first started as, you know what I mean? And I was kind of digging up a lot of videos and a lot of inspo and finding my own style, like digging up Nicholas Brothers and like old videos and just kind of finding my own vibe, you know. It wasn't that vintage glamour. It wasn't slow. It was just, there was a new energy to it. So that's kind of how I found it.
No, absolutely. And instantly, I think that that's what the key to a great burlesque performance is, when somebody finds their own way and finds what works for them within that, is the most important key. You could be inspired by others, but not emulate others. So what was the scene right now, like in Australia and Melbourne? So this is like what, 2012, 2000 and something like that, 2011?
Yeah, 2014 was when I really hit the scene more. You know what I mean? I think I was like kind of sitting back before that. And the Australian scene is actually amazing. You know, like there's a lot of variety here. There's a lot of eccentric performers with so many different skills, and we've got a lot of great companies working here with gig burlesque shows. Like we've got the Briefs, and they've been world famous. We've got Hot Brown Honey, which is like a wicked PSC show that's toured the world. And we have a lot of amazing individual artists that are kind of doing different things. I mean, maybe there's something in the isolation of Australia that like creates something different culturally here. But, you know, maybe comparing it to different places in the world, we kind of have a little bit of old school stuff, but there's a lot of like neo and performance art here as well.
Oh, yeah. I found when I first started coming there, which I guess was around 2009, I was completely blown away, because I was like, you know, you come from New York and you're like, I'm from New York, you know, I know everything. And the audiences in Australia were just so amazing and so supportive, and would turn out in these huge numbers to see the show. Like, not to just see like one person, like they really didn't care that much. Like, oh, Angie Pontani's coming from New York. It was to see the whole spectacle of the show. And they were so supportive. It was really like, to date, is one of my favorite places to perform in. And I just feel like the community supports it. Like everybody comes out to see it. They get excited about it. You put on big shows. It's not like in New York where it's like show. Every night of the week, we got a show, you know, come into this bar, come into that bar. It's really like production focused. So I feel like that would be a really great place to start your career, to have a baseline to kind of judge where you want to go and what you want to do and what you want to be involved in.
Yeah, it actually is, and there's quite a bit of support out here to do that. And we do have big festivals too. Like we have the Fringe festivals. The second biggest in the world is Adelaide Fringe, which I've done many, many years, and it like includes something like 4,000 artists. And don't quote me on that, but yeah, but it could be even more actually. I think there was some years there was about 4,000 shows. So I mean, you can see, there's so many people from all over the world that come to that, and there's Perth Fringe as well, which is the third biggest fringe festival in the world. There's a lot of stuff going on in Australia.
You can see the arts in it, and it seems like the government supports the arts too. Like it's very supportive there.
Yeah.
So it's no surprise that you guys have had a thriving and really big burlesque scene for quite a while, really.
Yeah, we've had a really big scene here. It's been amazing. Yeah.
So when you got on, you know, you come from a dance background. I know you studied dance in college, right? You're into the circus arts. Like,
yeah.
When you started going out and doing the grind of auditioning, were you just looking for like any kind of dance gig? Like, you just wanted to get out there?
Yeah. I mean, when you like train as a dancer and then you go out into the industry, they're just like, okay, there's a few things you could do: musicals, dance company, you know, like those kind of things. It would just be like commercial dance, do club gigs and stuff like that. But you never really taught that you actually have the freedom to create your own work, you know, and be your own like leader and boss or whatever, you know. So it was kind of like, you know, working in the industry, trying to get a job. I was never the best dancer. I was never the most like striking or never fit the mold. So, I mean, if I didn't really make something of myself, then, you know, nothing would, you know what I mean?
Absolutely. It's a tough business. It's one of the reasons I didn't pursue it either, because I quickly realized I just want to be myself. Like,
yeah.
I don't want to play out these different visions of myself that I have.
Exactly.
You know,
or someone else's vision.
Yes. Mm-hmm. But just to mix it up. So when you got on stage with the first show, you know, that you got into, was it instant love for you? Were you like, this is the road I want to go? Like, this is what I want to do?
Yeah, well, it opened up so quickly, and I think it really surprised me. You know, I just kind of took a risk. I was working retail at the time, in between all my other jobs, and was just like at the job and was just thinking about performing all the time. You know, I was just like hell-bent on all these ideas, and I was writing stuff. I was making phone calls. I was like, hey, can you make this for me? You know, like I was like, my mind was not at the job. And I just thought to myself, you know, I think I should take a risk and just like I should just quit my job. Best decision ever.
Yeah. So,
you know, because then I was out there.
So you felt like you were on the right path. You found your path.
Exactly. So yeah, quit my job. And then I just went all in, and I just decided to really invest. And then the tipping point was also when I did Miss Burlesque Australia, because I put together kind of my 3 best acts, and I never presented something really in the community at that point. I hadn't really been part of it. So doing that was really great, because it allowed me the space and the platform and everything. So people ended up seeing me, and then you know, it went from there.
Tell me about Miss Burlesque Australia, because does that function like there's shows in sub-markets and then those winners go on? Is it like structured in that sense?
It's basically like a big pageant, you know. It's become really, really big in Australia too. It's kind of like a way of like showcasing what we're doing, and the community really watches what's going on. They're really involved in it. So you basically, I think now you only have to make 2 acts, but back then you had to make 3 acts. So a classic, a neo, and a unique, and then present them. And then basically there was like a state heat, and then a final of all of Australia. So I kind of, we're in our little bubble out here. We have our own pageant, but yeah, the burlesque community is very involved in that, and very like, we all watch and we all support and all that stuff.
So when you decided to do the Miss Australia pageant, what's the climate like that around that in Australia? Is it very competitive? Is it a lot of camaraderie? Is it like, you know, showgirls, I'm going to cut you? What's the whole vibe around it?
I feel like everybody enters the competition with a different feeling, you know what I mean? Like some people like, I'm going to win this thing, like, you know, or I'm just doing this to develop myself, or I'm just doing this like, you know, to show something new, to showcase myself. But everybody kind of has their own ideas around it. I think when I entered, I was just like, I just want to present the best thing. And it would also be nice to win, you know. I had that in the back of my mind, but I mean, I really didn't expect to win. But I think there's a bit of both, you know. There is definitely a competitive streak going, of course, and that makes you do better. So that's good.
Absolutely. You need to have that. It's a healthy balance. And do you think that your dance training, because I know in burlesque, it's really not the majority that comes from a background of dance, but do you think that your dance training and like your theater schooling and everything that you studied and your varied experiences in the arts really set you up to kind of get a step ahead within the competition or within the scene in general?
Mm-hmm. I mean, when I started burlesque, I thought as a dancer, it would mean that it would be a lot easier for me. You know, I felt like picking up movement and just like interpreting that into burlesque would be a lot easier. But, you know, it really is up to the individual in burlesque. Like for me, it's not really about someone who's super technical. You know what I mean? It's like the spirit of it. It's the feeling of it. It's the artist itself, like how moving they are, you know what I mean, how connected they are to what they're doing and all those sort of things. So it's got to be a bunch of things for me, really. But I think, you know, with my dancing, I was able to make something kind of unique because I guess me as a dancer, I'm not really known for my technique or anything. I'm known for my style. So it was about me bringing my own unique style in and then just like making that work, you know, and making that a thing. Yeah.
No, I think that that's important because I think that sometimes people with dance backgrounds can be overly technical when they get on stage and they have choreographed everything from top to bottom. And then it becomes more about delivering a work that has no connection really with the audience because the dancer is wrapped up in their own mind. But so when you create your acts, do you allow yourself improv or are they choreographed top to bottom?
They're quite polished, but there is a lot of improvisation room. And I'm somebody that actually forgets choreography. I don't know why. Just like, you know, even from training from a young age, sometimes I'm like, if I don't do the act for a year, I'm kind of like, what was it again? But then I'll be like, it'll, you know, I'll have the feeling in me. So I'll know, you know, some improvisational moments. I'll just kind of work that character in. And I think it's in burlesque, it's so good to let yourself do that. It just feels right, you know?
Oh, I think so. I think that's where you really connect with the audience and just learn how to improvise and still, you know, transmit all that amazingness is kind of one of my favorite things about it. Because I am also forget choreography and it takes me forever to learn choreography. I was always the worst at that. It was frustrating. I was never one of the dancers that would see a combination 2 times and be like, okay.
No, sure. Yeah, that was me in auditions too. Like I'd eventually get it. And then at the end when they'd be like, all right, now we're presenting, I'd be like, thank God. Because I'm back here like sweating, you know, like just not getting in with all
dance
the
auditions
rolls at the front. Yeah.
Oh yeah. They're so terrible. I was always so bad. So you won Miss Burlesque and that was in 2014, right?
Mm-hmm.
And walking away from that experience, you were pumped, feeling awesome, loving burlesque, conquer the world.
Well, yeah, loving it. And I really, as I said, I didn't expect to win. No one really knew me in the community either. So they were kind of like, who's this person coming in? And, you know, it was great though. It really opened up a lot of opportunity, a lot of shows, a lot of teaching opportunities. And then Imogen Kelly actually said to me, from watching me in the competition, she said, you should apply for BHOF. And I was kind of like, really? Like, I don't know about this. And then I kind of like got my audition tape in the day before the audition shot. And I was just like, well, we'll see what happens. And then I ended up getting in. And, you know, I actually ended up bringing my mum with me and being like, let's go to Vegas. And I think it was my first trip to America, which was 2015.
Wow.
And and it kind of blew my mind. Hey, it was just because, you know, you've been and it's just absolutely epic. And there's nothing like the first time.
No,
you know,
completely.
just seeing everybody, you know, express themselves and dress the way they did and the event being so celebratory and so intense and amazing. It was,
and that's a big decision to make. I mean, that's a huge trip for you to go from Australia to Las Vegas to compete in the Burlesque Hall of Fame. And so, so I'm guessing then that you didn't know like too much about what you were walking into, right? Which I think is a benefit sometimes.
It is. But what I noticed a lot with the American scene and the audiences and all that sort of thing there. I mean, you were saying Australian audiences are awesome and they definitely are, but there's something about American audiences. It's just like the enthusiasm and the appreciation and the hype around American audiences. It's just something I really discovered with touring with Dita as well, is how turned they get, you know, like there's nothing like it. I just love that form of expression that Americans really have.
See, I totally felt like Australia had that too. I was like, you guys are so wild, man. Like, just so excitable. But I think coming from New York, it's like New York audiences are jaded. So when you perform here a long time, it's like you really have to like basically. I mean,
they've seen it all, right?
Yeah, so you have to like set yourself on fire to get a response some nights, right? But it's true. When you tour the rest of the country, you definitely do get a different experience. But here in New York, they're like, what do you got for me, kid? You know? So you went to BHOF, to the Burlesque Hall of Fame. That was 2015. And so you were in the debut category, right? Which is the category that they now make everybody go into.
Right. Yeah, I think, you know, in order to get into Queen, you have to have done that.
Stepping stones. So what, did you come with a new act? Did you create a new act to go and compete in this competition?
No, I came with something I knew was really strong. You know, I had my Josephine Baker piece from when I did the competition, Miss Burlesque. So I just did that. I rolled with that. I knew it was going to be the good one to do. And I just, again, didn't expect to win, but I remember Aurora Galore helping me. This was the day before I was competing. I think I was just so overwhelmed and exhausted and just like, it was a lot.
I mean, the jet lag alone would be devastating.
But she was like helping me glitter my bananas before the day. She was like, we got to step this up a little bit, you know, like.
Oh, that's so nice.
Oh my God, she was a legend. But she was like, we're going to step this up a little bit. Let's glitter these bananas. And I mean, like that kind of stuff of DIYing like a day before the show is just like classic. you know, a classic thing to happen. But
Absolutely.
Yeah. But it's interesting looking at myself in 2015 and to now. It's just like stylistically, I've changed so much, costuming wise, you know, everything really.
No,
Like,
for sure. You've done a
ideas.
lot. So what was your first impression? So being backstage at the show, then I'm imagining you probably didn't know a lot of the girls and guys and people who were back there with you, right? Like
No,
you were
I
like,
don't
oh,
think I
that's
knew anybody.
Joe from Chicago and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So
No.
were you nervous? Were you freaking out?
Absolutely. And, you know, for me, I think people expect me to be really boisterous and outgoing and that sort of thing, but I can often be shy when I don't know people. So I think I was like, before I'd actually performed and people had seen me, you know, I was kind of more like just trying to get my way around the place and, you know, and it was amazing having met all these Americans and performed on the same stages. I mean, yeah, it was kind of a pinch myself moment.
Yeah. Dressing rooms can be very intimidating when you walk in and you're like, I don't know anybody here. And everybody can be as nice as can be, but it can be a very nerve-wracking experience, especially with a competition. But they don't bite. They're usually pretty nice. They'll help you glitter your bananas.
I know, yeah. Absolutely.
And so you stepped on stage, you got a tremendous response, a standing ovation. How was the vibe of the audience that moment, your performance? How did it feel for you? Were you like, I'm nailing it, I'm nailing it, I'm nailing it? Did you know you were nailing it while you were nailing it?
It was pretty surreal. I mean, for me, I'm never on stage, I'm like, I'm killing this. I'm always just like, I'm trying to do more and more and more. And I think I'm always like really connected to the audience. So on that stage too, it's so wide and long and just like there's so much space to fill. So I think in my mind, I was like, I got to run here. I got to do this. I got to like look at this person. I got to see that person. You know what I mean? I was just like, I had to like try and really connect as much as I could. And I think at the end when I was like, people were standing up, I was really like, oh shit, you know, like, yeah. So it doesn't really hit me until the end, but I just put out as much energy as I could. And
that's amazing. And so was the Josephine Baker, was that that was your first burlesque act that you created, right?
Yeah. I mean, it evolved and changed. So it was the first one I did. And then in between me like starting my first kind of burlesque act and getting to the stages of B-Hop, I had developed a whole bunch of other acts as well. And then I kind of revisited Josephine Baker and I was like, maybe I'll change it and make it something different and extend it and all that sort of thing. So I'd done that. And a lot of the time with me, like I'll develop something and then I'll change it. You know, I'll change the music or I'll change something about it, develop the choreography. So I'm kind of constantly doing that. But yeah, it's
nice because then you don't get tired and stale within something. It's
exactly
a good thing to do.
Yeah.
And I always think it's nice to go into a competition or a big gig with something that is tried and true. I know a lot of people are like, I'm going to go do this big show. I'm going to create this new act. And I'm like, are you crazy?
Yeah.
It takes a long time to get an act. What's in your mind doesn't happen on stage the first time or the second time or the third time or the fourth time. I feel like it takes a while.
It takes a long time.
Yeah. But so that had to be pretty special then to have that act be the act that you won with, right?
It was great. Yeah. Yeah.
I know too, like I've talked about Josephine Baker with a couple of my other guests as well. And I know that there's varied feelings about the banana dance. What are your feelings about it?
Yeah, I do think that it's because of the general view of POC or the understanding of what that role is in society as well. And I think at the time Josephine Baker did the things she did to really play parody on that understanding. It's kind of like when she presented her work, you know, as the Banana Girl and in the jungle and all that sort of thing, she played on the cliches of what people understood of women of color at that time. I mean, that has evolved and changed, but there are still kind of biases that we rely on to shape our view. So I really feel like it's about turning it around. You know, I mean, if you're kind of stuck in that thing of like, oh, well, this will always represent me as a woman of color, this is the only thing, you know, that people seem to want. And that was something that I did experience as well. People were like, I want that act, just continue to do that act, because that's what I see. That's what I see women of color represented as in burlesque. And I was like, there are other things that I'm doing, and I'm not just bound to that understanding. You know what I mean? So for me, it was like, I presented that act first, and then I had to step out of that for my own like self. You know what I mean? And now a lot of the time, the things I present are newer things, you know, different things. So when people ask me for that act, I'm kind of like, well, I show them what else I've got, and I'm like, well, I'm doing this now, and this is what I'm on. So yeah, I think it's good to evolve and understand, you know, the reasons why we do things, but also just like break out of that and change. And
Absolutely.
yeah,
You have to, for your own personal growth, I think, as a
exactly.
performer.
Yeah.
But it is, I feel like, too, it's nice to have a tribute act, an act that you can connect with to a legend of the past. Also helps keep a bit of their story and legacy alive and teach people who don't know about them a bit about that. And Josephine was like mind-blowing, genius, ahead of her time in so many ways. It's completely bonkers.
It is bonkers, yeah. It really is.
it's bonkers. It's insane.
Yeah.
So when you develop an act, what are the things now that you, like, as a seasoned performer, what are the steps that you take to create something new? What inspires you to develop it, and what is your process while you create it?
I actually feel like I'm somewhat of a chaotic kind of person. So I'm not very strategic or organized, you know what I mean? I'm not one of those people that's like, well, I got 3 months, so I'm going to start developing my choreography now. I'm going to get my music ready. I already know what I want. For me, it's like I change a lot. So I might have an idea, an inspiration, and often that changes. So like, you know, now that I work with the drag cabaret, the director of the cabaret, James Wellesby, is like he's trained in Vogue dancing. So I've kind of learned elements of that. So it's like whatever I'm doing at the time, I'm like borrowing from and like, you know, taking inspiration from. And I always try to like stay true to the source too. And it's not like borrowing things without actually investing in learning and respecting that art form. You know what I mean? But a lot of the time I'm kind of just looking around in the world for what's going on and what's really speaking to me. But in terms of putting things together, I guess sometimes I find my music first and then I hit my costume guy up. I'm like, hey, are you free? I want you to make this crazy, crazy, crazy thing, because I always give him the most insane things. And then he's like, all right. And I mean, you know, a lot of the time with costuming, it's kind of like when I'm on tour, I don't really have time to do fittings, and like they're sending me the stuff when I'm out in New York or wherever the hell I might be, somewhere in Australia. So it's often kind of last minute, really. I mean, that's what I was on before, you know, pre-COVID.
Yeah.
Everything last minute.
Yes, pre the shutdown. Well, now you've got lots of time. Yes.
Nothing to do.
Join the club. I was like, I wish I had some motivation, because this would be a great time to develop something. But all I want to do is eat Oreos and watch TV.
Yeah, exactly.
But I do the same thing. I find I have to have my music first. Otherwise, I'll get the costume and then I have no idea what I'm doing. And then what I'm doing in my mind isn't what I do when I put the costume on and I go on stage.
I know. The costume is one of the last things for me. It's kind of like, yes, I've got this idea, and then I'll have the whole thing worked out, and then the costume comes on and I'm like, this is a disaster.
Yes.
You know?
Oh, absolutely. Because in my mind, I'm like picturing all this choreography and all these moments. And then I get on stage in the costume and I'm like, I can't walk. My hand can't reach the zipper. I can't move my knees. Like, and then I'm like, okay, this is terrible.
Exactly. It changes everything. Yeah.
It does. And so have you ever had a tragic costume mishap on stage?
I definitely have had things not come off. You know, I feel like that's a classic.
Have you ever gotten a string caught in a zipper of a gown? I feel like that's burlesque death.
Yes,
that's
no,
like, girl, you're dead.
That's it. You're done.
You're done. It's like nothing's happening for you right now.
Nothing.
Yeah. I pray it never happens to you. It happened to me once, and it was like a 45-minute act because I refused to give it up, and I was yanking it up and yanking it down and yanking it up and yanking it down. And then I had one of the guys in the band yank it up and yank it down. And eventually it was Murray Hill who freed the zipper, and it was a shocking moment. Yeah. I didn't think he could do it.
No, but he did.
He did.
I was listening to your chat with Murray last night, actually, because I knew I was coming on. I'm like, oh my God, how can anyone be that funny?
Oh, God.
But what a classic and what a legend.
I was literally in pain, and then I had all these questions, and he was just making so much fun of me. But I do love him. And he did save me that one time, and I really had very little faith that he was going to be the one to free me, but he did. I love you, Murray. So you win Miss Burlesque Australia, you go to Exotic World, you win the best debut, you're kicking butt. Dita, how does it happen?
It's actually funny because we've been emailing lately, just like talking about what's going on and just reflecting. And in her email, she kind of wrote, because I knew this, but she kind of confirmed what was going on. And she said she was in Tucson, Arizona, and working with Catherine at the time. And this might have been like 2016, so it was after I did BHOF, because I know Catherine saw me there. But they were talking, and Catherine was showing Dita the video of me, and she was like, I just remember that moment of like Catherine showing me that video, And then later on, when Dita came to Australia, that's when she hit me up and said, come and audition. So it was actually from BHOF, like where Catherine.
And the magic of Catherine Delish, who's an unbelievable
That's
legend.
Right. So I was lucky enough that Catherine had recognized me, and then giving me that opportunity to work with Dita in that way. So, and I remember auditioning, and I was in the middle of a tour at that time, and it was in Melbourne, my city, and just showing up and being like, hi, like, just really, I didn't know anybody.
But had her people reached out to you and said, we want you to come? So you weren't just going in cold. They were like, come to this audition.
I was invited to audition, and it was a day before they had the show. So the whole team was there. So the lighting crew and everybody else was there too. And I remember Dita and Catherine being in like the audience. They were just kind of like standing there watching me. And I had all the costume and everything, and her team, her crew, who are absolute legends, like had the lighting, and they got everything ready for me. So yeah, I was like, don't fuck this up.
Well, you didn't.
But it was great. Amazing, yeah.
And when you got it, did you freak out?
Well, yeah. I mean, on that day, a lot of the crew and people were talking to me. They were like, that was amazing. And, I really felt like something was going to happen. I mean, I didn't really know, but then the next process was me getting the visa, which was incredibly complicated.
And it had to happen pretty quickly, right? It was.
Yeah. And getting a US visa is like insane. It's like, a pain, it's like,
in the ass.
Prove that you ever existed and send us everything you've ever done.
I know.
Yeah. But I got there, and then I think I've done about 6 US tours with them.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And so then you got to travel all across the States and experience the different audiences, because I think that's one thing that's really cool in America, is that everything is so different from city to city and town to town, and the best way to experience that is on a tour, because it's just like undercover, and you get the vibes from the audiences and the shows and the theaters. What was your first show? And were you totally insanely nervous? Were you overwhelmed with nerves?
I mean, for my show, I wasn't nervous about presenting my show. It was more like just having this completely new experience and being on tour in the States. I mean, I feel like as a performing artist, that's the kind of stuff you dream of doing, like touring the States and doing that as a feature artist and all that sort of thing. So it was kind of like mind-blowing in that sense. And, spending time in the States was something I had wanted to do, especially being from Australia and being POC. Like, being in the States, it's just like, although there's so much political shit going on, when you're a POC, like for me, walking into like Walgreens or CVS and being able to find like my foundation color and stuff like that, and being able to access my hair stuff in the...
Is it something that doesn't happen in Australia?
No.
Yeah.
No. It's insanely difficult.
I don't think I ever saw one black person in Australia when I was in Australia.
I mean, there are a lot of us here. We definitely, things are changing like vastly since I was younger. But, going somewhere like the States and just being able to access those things there, seeing a lot of me around, like not feeling like there was any difference there, and it was like so refreshing. That's one thing I really loved about being there, as well as I found it.
That must have been very exciting, especially to represent on stage. It's such a big show. It would be completely amazing, and to represent Australia.
Yeah. It was pretty amazing. I mean, I'm the only Australian artist in the show. So, it was like a big role for me.
That's amazing. I was trying to think, are you the first Australian artist to win a title at the Hall of Fame?
No, I think Imogen Kelly won.
Did Imogen? Imogen won Queen
of Burlesque, which is the Miss Exotic World. Yeah.
So were you nervous walking into it? Because, Dita's show has such an amazing cast. Were you nervous to walk into the dressing room? And so many of these people have been working together in the same unit, the Entourage, for so long. Were you nervous to kind of walk into the dressing room and be like, hi, I'm the new kid in school? Like, I feel like that's the scariest thing with most shows, of just being like, hi.
And then everyone's like watching your show. They're like, everyone's seeing what the deal is. But everyone was so amazingly friendly and like gorgeous, and now like they're like family vibes, to me.
No, it's a lovely group.
It's a really great group, and we've known each other for years now. So it's kind of like those days are like, so long ago now. But yeah, it was kind of like the new kid coming in, especially being an Australian, culturally having a lot of like some differences and stuff there. But it was great. They gave me a lot of shit for my accent, which is totally warranted.
I love the Australian accent. It is literally the hardest accent to imitate in the world.
It's the hardest. Yeah. They tried, but
it's so hard. You heard mine.
Yeah.
And when you came out in Dita's show, you did 2 acts?
I did 1. I did my Josephine Baker act, and then
did 1 act.
We did different tours. Like, it started off with the Art of Tease, which is the older show that we did, and then we did another one called the Copper Coupe, which I choreographed for Dita. So I choreographed her Champagne Glass act and did my own.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So that was an incredible opportunity. I remember flying to LA before the tour, and I think we only had a week before we started in Miami, and then I had 2 days to teach it. And Dita had also like a week to get ready and get around the new costuming, and just being around Dita's costuming is just like, seeing how intense it is and how like hard it is to move in that stuff. I'm just like, oh my God. So, I had to definitely adapt my choreography to the costuming and the movement and all that sort of thing. But it was incredible.
There's no fan kicks.
No way.
There'll be no fan kicks.
Yeah, that closet is hard to tell. So yeah, like adapting the things for the costuming. I mean, that's something I always have to do too. So, when I was choreographing here in Melbourne, I had to be, ready that when I was going to teach her, it's going to change. But that was a great tour. We did an East Coast and West Coast tour. I think it was like a 2-month tour. So yeah, we've done a lot, and now we've got Glaminatrix, which is like the newest show.
Yes,
we'll have different acts in that. So my acts have changed quite a bit.
And now you perform in her show within some of her acts as well, right? Is that
yeah? So she, I think when we started, we had a few things together. Oh no, when I started, I just did my act, and then we did like a finale together, and then it's kind of changed. So we've had like involvement in some of her acts. She has like the big lipstick act, which we're all in, and it's like a big fetish scene. So all the cast are kind of in that, just on stage, like seizing and just looking hot and that sort of thing. And now she's got a circus act. So we're all doing a little part in that too.
I love that, because that really takes it from the typical format of like, here's a performer doing this act, and here's a performer doing this act, and here's this, and it kind of creates these like beautiful vignettes that I think are really next level,
Next level. I mean, it's super old school, It's so cool to present it like that. It's like, yeah.
What's old is new again. And so you guys have toured the States. Have you done a European tour with her? Or have you toured Australia with her too, right?
I think Dita's done about 3 or 4 Australian tours, but I've done 2 of them with her. And then we did Europe in 2018 at the end. And that was the first time she'd brought the whole show to Europe, which was amazing to be part of. And then we were actually supposed to have toured this year in March and April, but obviously that didn't go ahead. But yeah, Dita's got plans. She's already rescheduled it. I think we hit, Europe in February. I mean, hopefully.
If anybody will let Americans in ever again.
Yeah, I know. I read some article about that, and it made me really sad. I was like, oh my God. But
I can't blame anybody.
No, that's true. But yeah, we'll see what happens, I guess.
No, completely. Well, I'm sure it will happen again, hopefully sooner rather than later. Was it super exciting when you returned to Australia with this show? I mean, you've had such an amazing fast track career. It's like boom, boom, boom. And then you get into Dita's show and you come back home with it. Was it like amazing homecoming? It must have been so proud.
Yeah, I mean, it was amazing. I think definitely the first time I was like hyped as anything, because all my friends and family were going to see the show, all the people I know and all, fans in my city and around were going to be there. I think touring in Australia is something I've done so much now that I'm kind of like, nah, You know,
Yeah.
like even though Australia's amazing, I'm kind of like, I want to see somewhere else, you know.
Yeah.
But it's always amazing, like, you know, touring a place that you're from. It just, especially doing something that big,
Mm-hmm.
you know, it just, it definitely felt epic. But
No.
I'm always really busting to get back to the States and tour Europe and stuff like that.
Well, for sure. But I always think of it, it's like going home is kind of like, I call it like a burlesque hangover, because you go out on the road and everybody's so excited and they're so into it. And then you go home and you're like, oh, I'm back home now. Everybody here is just like, oh, it's her.
I remember like coming out of the foyer in the Melbourne show and everyone just being like, oh, yeah, you again.
Yeah,
you know?
totally.
Whereas I hit other cities and it's kind of like,
oh yeah, they're like, come and take a picture with me. Can I get your autograph? Like, they love you. Yep, that's called the burlesque hangover, also known as welcome home.
Welcome home.
Welcome home. So that, would you say that Dita is definitely the career highlight at this moment? It's like such a great gig, so produced, so professional.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was definitely a game changer, opened me up to so many different opportunities, a different platform, like a voice that was heard more and all that sort of thing. So, you know, it was definitely about how I utilized that, and being from Australia, like, you know, although we have a big like scene here, there's often things that like you kind of hit a ceiling and you can't, there's nowhere else to go and that sort of thing. So it was kind of interesting experiencing that too. But there were so many advantages from it, and you know, it's definitely a space of privilege that I occupy with being like a selected artist and being endorsed by her.
That's completely amazing. And I totally forgot even to mention. So then in 2018, you were on the 21st Century. You were the #1 worldwide performer on the 21st Century Burlesque's top 50 burlesque performers with it. There's such a big sentence. Worldwide in 2018, and then 2019 you were still like in the top 10 worldwide, and you were #1 in Australia. So how did you feel when you got that? Did you have an inkling that was coming, or did you wake up one day and you were like, oh my god, what, I'm #1?
No, it was totally what. That's
amazing.
I think the night before, I think, because it was January, it was like summer in Melbourne, it was like holidays, you know, that kind of vibe, start of the year. And I think, you know, I don't know, I was drinking the night before, I was just like partying or whatever, so I woke up with a terrible hangover, and I kept getting these messages, and I kept like tapping my phone being like, shut up, like,
leave me alone.
All these people are hitting me up, let me sleep.
Yeah.
And then I was like looking at my phone, I was like, oh shit. I think I was just like completely blown away and just really like, what is going on? And my boyfriend was just like the whole morning just like absolutely amped, pep talking me, being like, this is a start of something great, you know, like he's a classic pep talker, you know, which is so great that he was just like pep talking me the whole morning about how great it was and what I should do, and all those things.
So in the age that we're in right now, in the COVID quarantine, and you know, there's no show business, you can't go out and hit the stages. Are you doing any digital dancing? Are you going live? Are you doing anything like that?
Yeah, I actually am doing digital stuff. I just couldn't get into doing the bedroom shows. I was just like, I don't know why. I was just like, you know, I was resisting, and I was just like, I'm not doing this. And, you know, because a lot of the thing on what I think about stage performance is like, it's a big fantasy, like, you know, it's like creating a big fantasy. And
absolutely,
I was just like, my bedroom just isn't it, you know.
No.
But now I've been making video, because I was kind of you know, for me, I'm normally doing a lot of things at once. I'm normally doing a lot of creative things. That's what really keeps me happy and keeps me feeling like, you know, I'm putting something out there in the world. And I've kind of been learning how to do more photography and video and that sort of thing. So I've been kind of learning new skills during this time.
And those are great assets to have, I think, you know, for all around. Because being a burlesque performer or star isn't just about what you do on stage. I feel like in these days, it's like your online presence. And I felt the same way about video, because I was like, there's no video I'm going to put out of me dancing in my living room that's going to equal the quality of what my performance is on stage. And I feel like it cheapens it. And I was extremely resistant as well.
Yeah, same.
And then I was like, okay, I have to do this. So I got like my ring light and trying to figure it out.
Right. Oh my God. Yeah. I mean, all of us had to do that shit. It's been very, very difficult. And for us as live artists, I mean, that kind of energy and that like atmosphere that really comes with doing that is just you can't recreate that. And, you know, for us, it's really about the live performance. Like that's what our whole thing is.
No,
so
absolutely.
It was like, yeah. So for me, it's been like maybe the video I'm making now is it's presented differently than it would be for a live show. Do you know what I mean? And
absolutely.
I made a couple videos that were trying to emulate live shows, and I was kind of like, this isn't working.
No.
It's not a live show. So now I'm just like, how can I do like videos that are creative and interesting and actually just video for video, not trying to emulate a live show.
No, and I made the same mistake. My first show was like, I'm going to just do this number. And then I watched it and I was like, oh my God, I hate every single thing about this. It's terrible. I need like a lighting crew and camera people and fades and effects.
Absolutely.
Like,
and zoom in and different cuts and like, and, you know what I mean?
No. So now whenever I do them, I'm like, okay, my technical capabilities equal like the Irving Klaw videos from the 1940s and 50s. So it's like whenever I make a video, I basically am trying to make it look like one of those something weird videos of burlesque dancers from the 40s and 50s that you find on YouTube. I'm like, I'm just the lady dancing in my living room.
Yeah, like, which I love too. You know, it's got its own style. It's, you know.
I'm like, but you have to kind of find, and I did one where I'm going crazy in my kitchen. Like, I'm like, you just have to kind of find something in it that
totally
to recreate it and make it work for what it is right now. Not to be like, this is my stage act in my living room. It's really.
Yeah, totally.
Oh, I watched it. I was like, what have you put out in the internet of yourself?
Totally. And I was like, look, I'm not grasping for this. You know what I mean? I was like, I'm just going to roll with it. I'm not going to put anything out. And I think I didn't put anything out for weeks and weeks and weeks. And I just like let go of that whole pressure of social media for a minute, because I was like, you know, shit is really going down and I'm not going to, you know, but now I've created a lot of content that I'm waiting to release now. So it's kind of exciting.
I feel like it's become the creative like outlet at the moment for what we can really do in a sense. And in a way, it's interesting because it challenges you to learn these new skills. Like, oh, that is not my angle. That is not my light. Like,
totally. It's really, yeah.
Somebody out there needs to teach like an online lighting class for burlesque performers. I think
absolutely
for your home shooting and for when you're on stage.
Yes, I think it would help amazing. Yeah, that would be incredible. Sign me up.
Yeah, me too. Me too. So aside from your work in Dita's show, aside from honing your at-home filming skills during the COVID quarantine from hell, you also have another show that you do, Yummy, the show. Tell me about this presentation, because it looks amazing. It looks really highly stylized and beautiful, and it incorporates drag and several different elements.
Yeah, Yummy is something that I do that's like completely different to the other stuff that I do. And I love kind of being able to access all these different worlds. And as I spoke about before, all these different styles and, you know, crossing over into different communities. And that's what Yummy does. You know, Yummy is a show that kind of is presented as a drag cabaret, but involves women. So it kind of steps in the realm of burlesque and kind of mixes the two and marries the whole thing up, which I think is a space that, you know, I'd like to see happen more often. And I'm kind of seeing that happen, but like, you know, the mix of drag and burlesque, I feel like it just works, and
they complement each other so well.
Definitely. And the styles intersect and cross over and all that sort of thing. So, you know, the show is meant to be celebratory. It's meant to involve like all genders and be non-gender conforming, and we have different artists, like drag artists, we have androgynous kind of artists that like kind of step in between both worlds, you know, female identifying. And yeah, the show is kind of quirky, interesting. It goes into different realms. Like we have circus artists, we have contemporary dancers, we have singers, drag artists, burlesque artists. It does it all. And I think what's different about the show is the way it's presented, and the costuming is all made by us mostly. And we have a costume designer, but we're really involved in that. And it's the costuming is supposed to be super performative as well. So it's all about stepping in that fashion world and that performance art world and just like super,
I saw the costumes. They're
colorful.
totally amazing. It's like it's
slightly
just,
avant-garde and yeah.
Completely.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting and awesome because I think that drag does marry beautifully with burlesque and all the circus elements. And I think it's funny too because here, especially in the States, like drag has such huge mainstream culture and has really clicked on faster than burlesque has into the mainstream eye. So I think it's a nice thing to pair them together so they might travel in unison.
Yeah, I mean, it makes complete sense. And
is it similar in Australia? Is burlesque is everybody crazy for RuPaul's Drag Race over there?
I mean, culturally drag is huge, you know, all over the world. And that's definitely thanks to Drag Race. I mean, it's been around for a long time, but like it's been, you know, commercialized through TV and that sort of thing. And there's a big opportunity there, and it's really great to see that that rise. And you know, for me as a burlesque artist, I mean, not all of us step into different spaces, but I think definitely there's a crossover in queer communities, LGBTQI, you know, plus communities for us. You know, I'm sure it's the same in New York.
Absolutely.
You kind of cross over.
Mm-hmm.
You cross over, you all kind of work together. You know, having that exposure to that has been incredible for me, to reach those different communities and be part of that as an ally as well. And I think, what was the last one we did before shutdown? We did we headlined City Mardi Gras, which was amazing.
That's awesome.
With the show. Yeah. So we've kind of done some great things now. We did a season in London last year.
Do you find that Yummy does it play to more of a queer audience, or is it a straight audience, or what kind of audience does that show play to in comparison to the Dita shows, say?
Yeah, it has that real pop culture reference and, like, you know, young kind of appeal. So yeah, we have a lot of teenagers that come and they buy all the merch, they buy the t-shirts, and they, you know, they get the photos and all that stuff. And then we actually have like older people come and watch it as well, like older couples, and, you know, it's just kind of interesting who comes and watches it. But the demographic is quite wide.
I love that. That's one of my favorite things about showbiz is when you can reach these outer-lying audiences and present something really alternative to them, and they love it. You know?
Yeah, totally.
And in that show, you're a collaborator. You're not just a performer. Like, do you help to curate the show and put it together and come up with the content in it?
Yeah. So everyone involved is they really bring themselves to the show. So they develop their own acts. They make their own costumes a lot of the time, and everybody in that show is like a powerhouse of their own making and that sort of thing. So that's what really makes the show what it is. But the director and producer, like James Wellesby and Hanny Halston, they work a lot on the acts, like the group acts, the choreograph and design the show, and, you know, get it to all the theaters and all the spaces and make it what it is too.
That's awesome. I think it's great that you branch out into so many different areas.
Well, yeah, I really think that's what's allowed me to have the career that I've had and not be without work at any time. I mean, I never really saw myself as doing this completely full time and be as busy as I was, but I think it was really what I did to branch out and reach all these different communities and scope myself across all these different platforms, and that's how I ended up having all that work.
And I want to touch on two for a second, but that you were also in The Empire Strips Back, which is like this epic Star Wars show that is burlesque, but is also like a really curated show as well.
Yeah. I mean, when I first met with Russell, it was actually, I think he came to Melbourne, and because we had some mutual friends. He worked a lot in the music industry, and he managed a lot of musicians as well. So he knew a lot of the musicians that I knew from Melbourne. And my friend Kira had said to me, "Oh, you should work with Russell. He's like a big producer. He makes these amazing shows." And I remember us meeting and just having a coffee and him being like, because he's such a frank person. He was kind of like, "Yeah, so I do this and I do that. And do you want to do it?"
No, really?
And I was like, "Okay, I'll do this like burlesque show, you know, this like crazy Star Wars burlesque show." And I think when I had said yes to it, I didn't really quite realize how epic it was. But, you know, Russell just doesn't do anything by halves. You know, it was just all the way.
Yes.
Everything down to, like, I don't know, every single detail. I mean, the lighting rig, the costumes, the high production value. I think that's kind of what I'm used to now, is having these super high production, amazing shows that really like take you into the fantasy, and that's
completely,
this high caliber kind of thing. And it's
some of the best career advice I ever got was from Russell, and he said to me, good lights can make an okay performer look amazing.
That's right.
And bad lights can make an amazing performer look okay.
Yeah.
And
agreed.
that, like, and I did when I took my first tour in Australia, and we would be at tech and they would be like, what lights do you want? And I'm like, I don't know, make me look cute, and Russell's like, no, we should have this, and this.
No.
No, you have to have this, and this. And I was like, oh my, and then he told me that, like, about the lights. And when I came home, I was a new person. Like, I looked up what lights look good, what colors look good. Yep. And whenever I would go to any club, I'd be like, this, and this.
Yeah. That's it.
And it's really, really true.
Yeah, it's
so
important, hey.
But it is completely. And that's when you realize, like, all the elements of production that have to come together to make something truly epic and take it from, just something in a stage with not much thought behind it to really making it that professional presentation. Not that there's something really fun at something on a stage with not much thought behind it. That's another magical element of burlesque, but we'll save that for another episode.
Yeah, the sticky tape burlesque.
Yes,
which is all done. But I mean,
listen, it's where you kind of, cut your teeth, really.
Yeah, totally.
But Zelia, do you still teach?
Yeah, I've been teaching workshops because I'm not really able to, I haven't been in the one spot for long enough to teach courses and to be there, to be a regular teacher. But yeah, I have some workshops that I've kind of curated and that I teach around when I can. I think now that I'm here, I might have an opportunity to teach.
Yeah.
But I've been kind of presenting workshops. I have a couple of different ones. I've got like a makeup one because makeup is a really big part of what I do, and I have kind of like signature looks and that sort of thing. So I've been teaching that, kind of dancing with props, chairs and stuff like that, and Broadway and technique, and presenting.
Do you offer any of it online during all? I don't know where you guys are, but we're still home.
Yeah.
Do you offer any of this online?
Yeah, I actually am doing 2 at the start of August, which I've got on my website, and I'll be posting on my Facebook and Instagram, so you'll be able to see them there.
Oh, good.
With Bombshells Burlesque, I think there's one on makeup, so I'll be presenting a makeup one. And that's the first time I've done the makeup one online, so it's going to be a new.
Oh, that'll be exciting.
Yeah, I think it's going to be good. I've never been kind of one of those YouTuber people, but I'm kind of being like, maybe I could do this. But I think doing makeup online is, it's quite an easy thing to present.
Yes.
Just on a screen, you know what I mean?
Certainly.
People to connect to. So yeah, I'm doing that, and I'm doing a chair kind of like dynamics workshop.
Well, we'll share all that information, so anybody who wants to study can. I do think that's one amazing thing about the situation that we're in right now. It's like there's so many online classes that people can partake in that you would have never had a shot to take classes with certain people unless they were traveling, through your hometown. So that's one positive thing I think we can take from this absolutely horrendous situation that we're all in right now.
Yeah, I really think it is about like being like, what is something positive here?
Yes.
You really have to sift through so many negative things that are going on. But it's been a pretty crazy time.
No, it has been. But I think that the other thing that I like to think about all the time is like, okay, when we finally get our shit together, when the world finally reopens, when Americans are allowed in other countries again, we're going to be so happy to be together and to be out and to be performing. It's going to be just
amazing.
It's going to be amazing. So that's what I like to tuck myself to bed with, those thoughts at night.
Yes, I agree.
So some just final thoughts. So you have been in burlesque for a good amount of time, and you've had tremendous success. So what have you seen changed within that time, or what would you like to see change?
Yeah. There has been so many shifts. And as I was saying before, there's been so many cultural shifts in the last even 5 years, existing as a person in the world and observing that. But I think a lot, some of the politics, it's evolving and changing, and that's really positive. Definitely about the cultural appropriation factor of like what was going on even 6 years ago as to what's happening now. Yeah. People are not doing the same things now, which is great because, a lot of that stuff, like especially being a POC and seeing that around you, it can be super, it just feels non-inclusive. It feels like, it often can feel very white,
Yeah.
and it definitely, I would like to see that change. I'd like to see more involvement from different people from different demographics, you know what I mean, getting involved and telling their stories and that sort of thing.
Do you think like it's happening a little bit?
Yeah, I think it's happening. I mean, I've had a discussion with many different producers and different people about why cabaret is super white, you know what I mean, and why it is,
Yes,
and why it is the way it is. And I mean, there's a lot of questions that come down to, systemic racism and the way that the systems are in place that cause us to be attracted to certain industries and certain things in our lives. But I just think it's more about opportunity for those people, and for them to see themselves in our industry and see a place in our industry. You know what I mean? I think those are certain things that we can inject.
What do you think we can do to be more welcoming, to be more open to that?
Well, yeah, I've even thought about like offering workshops for people that, POC that out there as dancers and as creatives that want to know how to make their mark in the industry and do their own thing and that sort of thing. I've thought about doing that. So I think it's things like that. It's like reaching wider communities and reaching communities that we're not used to connecting with. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Which will only enrich all of us in the end and make us a better community and a more exciting community and a more entertaining community.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think, a lot is changing, and obviously a lot of that is around race as well. A lot of things are amplified right now. So it's an opportunity for us to look at the deeper things and issues that are going on and really changing those. And I mean, as a POC, I'm obviously very motivated by that and always have been. But I think now a lot of people are becoming more aware of that and taking that on board and, really, making that part of their mission, which is
absolutely
great.
Such a greater awareness and acting upon it, not just thinking about it. I think people are really acting upon it now. So that's a great thing.
Totally. I mean, for me as well as an artist, I'm kind of really questioning whether I'm going to be able to work with companies and people that haven't expressed solidarity on Black Lives Matter or haven't expressed that they're going to do something about it. I mean, for me, I've always been talking about it, and I mean, for obvious reasons, I'm always thinking about it. But yeah, I hope that now that people will really take it on board.
Yeah, as do I, and I think that they will, and I think especially within our community, they will. I hope that they will, and if not, then we'll know who not to work with. Quite simply, you'll know what festival nobody's going to next year.
Nobody's going to. I mean, this is a point in time where we've never had, we haven't had that opportunity to say something like that before.
No, completely.
You know what I mean? It's pretty, it's quite powerful, I think.
It's very powerful. And what would you give, looking at your fast track career, looking at the success that you've had? You have performed in levels of professionalism that people who have been performing for 25 years haven't touched. If you could give somebody starting out advice now, what would you say to them? Like, what could they do to help their cause, to help their presentation and their performance?
Mm-hmm. I think a lot of my success has come with me being somebody that is able to connect with a lot of people and network and that sort of thing. And to be honest, like pretty much all of my work, like social media, yeah, like a lot of people look at it, but a lot of my work is like word of mouth. Someone talking about me. It's like the same thing with Dita, like Catherine spoke about me. It's like, I've been just keeping it across the board, like connecting with so many people, making good impressions and that sort of thing. I mean, I know it sounds kind of cliche, but like
it's not though.
Honestly, people remember you if you like rub off on them in the right way and you have a good experience with them. And I don't know, I feel like I'm very much like that when I work with new people and I want to connect. And then those people kind of don't forget. As well as that factor, which I know is a little cliche and a bit like the networking thing, and it can feel fake. It just don't make it fake. Just make it real and just make it genuine. And I think as well, just really be you and just don't be scared to do that. I mean, it took me a lot of time to get the confidence, just put that out in the world and just be happy with that. And I think that's something we all kind of are working on and struggling with as well. But yeah, just honestly like being yourself and just sharing your story and sharing something about you that makes you unique, and yeah, all of that, and not trying to be somebody else. you will find more success in that.
Absolutely. And it's a common thread that I feel like with everybody that I interview and everybody that I talk to that's had great success. It's like you treat others with kindness. You're good to other people when you walk into a space, into a dressing room. Like your behavior backstage affects the opportunities that you'll get ultimately on stage, matched with talent, of course. But it's like, and following your passion. You have to follow your passion and be true to your
Totally.
vision.
I mean, I'm as nice to the security guard as I am to the director.
Boom.
Stuff like that.
Yep. Absolutely. I'm actually usually nicer to the security guard. I'm always friends with the staff. I'm the one who's hanging out with the security guards, the waitresses. I'm like, I always become best friends with the staff.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I don't know if it's a true benefit, but it is like, I just feel like, having this integrity about yourself, and people really remember that. Yeah.
No, absolutely, and it shows. So what's next for you when we can go outside again?
Oh God. Well, I don't know actually.
No one does.
What am I doing tomorrow? Just stare out the window. No, yep. I've been trying to keep myself busy, but I mean, as I said, the Dita thing might happen.
Yeah.
Next February. I mean, we're hoping for that. So. And Dita's like rescheduling her US touring, but yeah, I mean, I don't really know what's going to happen, but I am doing some gigs in Australia. I'm doing one with Perth Burlesque Festival in October.
Oh, that's great.
I'm doing, so that's great. And I'm doing one Australian Burlesque Festival show. So there's a couple little things that might happen here, but it's all kind of like up in the air as everything.
No one knows. What are you doing to keep sharp with your fans and your fan kicks while you're at home?
Yeah, well, I've been shooting some videos. I've been working with a friend of mine who's a filmmaker, Baron Chatterjee, and he's an amazing cinematographer. And I'm kind of trying to reach out to different people I wouldn't normally work with, because I wouldn't normally be having all my time to put into making videos.
Yes,
and doing something interesting. But I'm kind of using video now to tell more stories about my experience and talk about POC and just like, highlight that. And, we're kind of doing a portrait video now. So we're going to kind of go into like who I am and what I'm doing. And,
that's great.
Yeah. So we're hoping to do some more video on that and really create a big video project. So.
Okay. Well, I look forward to seeing it.
Yeah. So there is some stuff going on, and, slowly, I'm getting my head around new formats. I'm learning how to DJ and like mix music and stuff like that.
Wow.
Like I'm just trying to do all the things that I always had wanted to do, that I never had time for.
Yes, because this time will be over. And we'll be like, why didn't I learn this? Why didn't I do this?
Exactly. I mean, yeah, it's been a time.
It sure has. Well, Zelia, thank you so much for doing this with me today and being on the Bump and Grind. I am so excited to have had you here, and I can't wait to see you in person, hopefully in 2021.
Thank you. I can't wait to see you either. I think we've only met once, but
yes,
it's so great to chat to you. I hope to see you in New York soon.
Yes, for sure. Thank you for tuning into the Bump and Grind, everybody. Help us to keep shimming along by following or subscribing to our podcast wherever you may be streaming from. And since we can't hear you showering us with applause, please be sure to leave a review. It is the next best thing, I swear. Follow Zelia Rose on Instagram at Zelia Rose to keep up with her appearances and shows. And as always, I am Angie Pontani, and this is the Bump and Grind.
This has been a Giant Panda King production. You can find us at giantpandaking.com and on Instagram at giantpandaking.